I just watched Missy Lanning's video about how Oliver turned 1, and she talks about how quickly it goes and, you know, all this stuff. And I found myself sitting there tearing up because I totally feel the same. Like, Aubrey is 11 months old, and, you know, we had such a difficult time with her. There were so many different things. She's been in the hospital for crazy, obsessive crying. I didn't know what to do. I thought maybe she had like a bowel obstruction when she was really little, 1 month old. And then she was in the hospital for croup when she was 2.5 months old, and she had to have the nebulizer and everything. And then she had silent reflux, and then she went back to emergency for RSV and stayed in the hospital. And then she went for an allergic reaction to penicillin. And then she went to the hospital for the constipation that she was having. And, you know, between all these things, I don't really blame her for being the grumpy baby that she has been. But, you know, we're coming out of it, and it's bittersweet because I wish I hadn't wished away her first, you know, year. Kaylee, turn it off. No, no. Okay, don't do that. I have diapers drying on the line, and she just sprayed them all with water. So that kind of defeats the purpose of them drying on the line. So that's okay, honey. Don't worry about it, but don't do it again, okay? So, you know, it's really bittersweet because I wish I hadn't wished away her first year, because she's just not a baby anymore. Like, she's tiny, but she's turning into a toddler, and I feel like it's sort of slipped out of my fingers. And I don't feel like it's very fair. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional, but I don't feel like it's really fair. Like, I felt her first tooth and I was like, oh my God, you know, she's finally doing the things that she should be doing. So it's very, very bittersweet. And I wish that it had been easier. I wish that breastfeeding hadn't have been so hard. I wish that all these things didn't happen to her, and that you know, I'm going to be completely honest. There were many times in our first year that I just wanted her to grow up. Like, I was tired of the crying. I was tired of never, ever being able to put her down. I was tired of being up for 4 hours at night with a screaming baby that I could do nothing for. You know, she was the toughest baby that I have ever dealt with. And she wasn't colicky. I'm sure it was all these other reasons why she was so frustrated. So, you know, it was a very trying year. And I really wish that I hadn't wished it away, because she might be our last baby. And, you know, she's not a baby anymore. That stage is gone. And through the whole thing, we just kind of wished it away. I didn't want to have a baby anymore. I wanted her to grow up. And now I look at, you know, Emery and Kaylee, and they're like 5 and 3, and I don't even know, like, it wasn't even fair to them. Like, the whole year, I don't even know what happened with them for the most part. You know, it's very tough to explain, and I hope I don't get any negative comments about it, because unless you've been in the situation that I've been in, then you don't have any say in how I should feel. But it was tough. I didn't know what was wrong. Half the time I wondered if it was something I was doing. We struggled with all of this stuff with Aubrey, and then Brandon's surgery and tumor and all that stuff. So it was a hard year. And just to think that it's all over and look back at like all the stuff we went through, it was like extremely emotional and very, very trying. And now, you know, she's becoming an easy baby, and I don't even know when that happened. And I'm really worried that once we stop the peg powder, that the whole cycle of her being constipated is going to happen again, and she's going to go back to crying and just being so upset. And, you know, people don't understand, because I post good things on, you know, Instagram besides when she was sick. You know, I always posted pictures of her smiling or laughing or You know, those kind of things, because they happened. They didn't happen often, but they happened. And when they did, it was like, get your camera, you know. So people don't really know what we went through with Aubrey. But there was a great article that I just read. It was called When Love Feels Heavy. And she put the whole thing into perspective. Every single word that she put in that. The only thing that was different really was that my letdown hurts. It doesn't emotionally hurt, but it hurts. And, you know, we went through never being able to leave the house because she would not nurse in public. She would not nurse unless we were at home. And then we went through weeks where she just didn't want to nurse at all. And I was so worried because she was little. And then we went through times where she just, until 8 months, she would not eat anything. She wouldn't eat. And then when she finally did start eating, the constipation started, and it was like one thing after another. And I don't blame her at all. I wish I had just been present with her. And, you know, there were some times where I was just like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this to me? And in that moment, when you're sleep deprived and you're stressed and you're stretched beyond anything that you thought you could get to, you don't know who else to blame but the baby who's crying, you know. So if you have a baby that's difficult, all I can say is that I can't make you not wish it away, because you're going to regardless. No matter what anybody says to you, you are going to wish and long for the day that that baby doesn't cry and scream and doesn't cause you the angst. And, you know, it sounds completely selfish, but when you're in that moment, that's all you feel. But you will get through it, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And once you get to that light, you kind of look back, and you're just envious of what it could have been. But I have to learn to not dwell on what it could have been, and realize that where we are now is a success. We got through it. I'm sorry, this is so emotional. But it's just really, I don't know. It's been a long 11 months. And it was just like, I thought when she was born that she was the most perfect, sweet, easy baby. And she was. You barely noticed she was there. So anyway, and then she slept all the time, and you know, it was just pretty amazing. She went through that time where she was awesome, and she did everything as a perfect newborn should, you know, and not saying she wasn't perfect, because she was. And then something switched it when she was 4 weeks old, and then from then on out, it was like a haze. We were in a haze until recently. So anyway, I want to leave you with the note that says you'll get through it. We did, and try not to be so envious of the way it could have been, and realize that you've made it through something that was incredibly hard.